Let's unravel the story. By the way, this movie has no dialogue because it takes place in a world where speaking is considered a sin. The film begins with a woman named Azrael. She seems anxious as she crafts a bracelet from a tree branch, adorned with small red fruits from the forest. Meanwhile, her boyfriend, Keenan, recklessly starts a campfire, frustrating Azrael, especially since they are currently being hunted. Feeling uneasy, Azrael urges Keenan to keep moving. Noticing her panic, Keenan tries to calm her down with affection. After regaining some composure, Azrael decides to give him the bracelet she just made as a gift. But before she can, they hear a whistling sound. It's the signal of their pursuers. Panicked, they hide. Keenan comes up with a plan to distract the pursuers while Azrael escapes as far as possible. Unfortunately, even though Keenan tries to divert their attention, they both get captured. Their captors, a group of strange men, take them to an unknown location. Once they arrive, Azrael is dragged into the depths of the forest to face her punishment. It turns out that she is being punished for attempting to escape from a cult she was once part of. The cult leader, a woman named Josephine, plans to sacrifice Azrael to a mysterious creature that is drawn to the scent of blood. To lure the creature, the cult members cut Azrael's leg, making her bleed. As the dark, shadowy creature approaches, Josephine and her followers quickly retreat, instructing everyone not to look back. Azrael is in shock as the creature sniffs her blood. Desperate, she struggles to free herself. Miraculously, she manages to break free just in time, and instead of her, one of the cult members falls victim to the monstrous entity. By the time the cult members turn around, Azrael has already vanished, and they are horrified to see that their own ally has been taken instead. After running deep into the forest, Azrael arrives at the ruins of an old building. Exhausted and in pain, she rushes to a nearby river to wash the wound on her leg. As she continues her escape, she starts to miss Keenan, who is still in the hands of the cult. Determined to save him, Azrael first needs to mask her scent to avoid attracting the creature. She rubs her wound with leaves, hoping it will neutralize the smell of blood. While hiding in a dead-end room, she anxiously waits. Luckily, the leaves start working, concealing her scent just in time. She then resumes her search for Keenan. Eventually, she finds tire tracks, likely from the vehicle that transported him. Following the tracks, she discovers the cult's hideout and prepares to sneak in. Azrael barely avoids getting caught. As she searches for Keenan, her heart sinks when all she finds is the bracelet she had made for him. This can only mean one thing: Keenan has already been sacrificed. Shocked and heartbroken, Azrael doesn't have time to grieve as she spots Josephine and her followers approaching. She hides and watches as Josephine enters a tent where her sick mother is resting. After checking on her mother, Josephine heads to a church for an important ceremony. Inside the church, the cult members are performing a ritual to welcome the birth of their so-called savior. They believe that a pregnant woman named Miriam is carrying the child who will save them from the horrors of their world. After the ceremony ends and the congregation disperses, Miriam scolds Josephine for arriving late. But before their argument escalates, they hear a strange noise outside. Suspicious, Miriam orders Josephine to check it out. Following the sound, Josephine discovers Azrael hiding beneath the church. She immediately captures her, but Azrael, using her agility, manages to escape. Realizing this is her only chance, Azrael runs as fast as she can. Josephine quickly sounds the church bell, alerting the cult members and signaling a state of emergency. With no other option, Azrael charges through a wooden barricade and sprints away. One of the cult members grabs a rifle and takes aim at her. Despite being wounded and narrowly avoiding the gunfire, Azrael manages to escape. As time passed, night fell, and Azrael, exhausted, decided to rest. However, without realizing it, she had a scratch on her hand. The wound emitted a scent that attracted the strange creature lurking nearby. The creature began chasing Azrael, but luckily, it stumbled. Just then, a passing driver rescued Azrael. Panicked, she rushed into the car and urged the driver to get in quickly. During the ride, the man, named Leon, noticed something odd. Azrael wasn't speaking. She had only been using hand gestures. Azrael then revealed a scar in the shape of a cross on her throat. This was the reason why no one in the film had spoken. Members of the cult had their vocal cords removed. Seeing this, Leon tried to comfort Azrael by playing some music, but suddenly, their car crashed after Leon was shot by one of the cult members. Though Leon didn't survive, Azrael barely managed to escape, wounded but alive. At that moment, she had to fight off one of Josephine's cult followers. The man was incredibly strong, and they wrestled violently, both tumbling to the ground. In the struggle, Azrael managed to grab the man's weapon and take him down. Shortly after, she noticed someone sitting casually by a campfire. To her shock, it was Keenan, her boyfriend. Relieved but suspicious, Azrael approached him, only to realize that the cult had used Keenan as bait to lure her in. Suddenly, a long-haired man appeared, watching them closely. But before anything could happen, the creatures that hunt by the scent of blood began to arrive. While the long-haired man stayed alert, scanning the area, Azrael fought desperately to free herself. Just as expected, the creatures attacked, targeting the long-haired man first. Azrael seized the opportunity to break free while the creatures feasted on their new victim. After the creatures dragged the man away, Azrael was relieved to see that Keenan had survived. She hurried to help him. But the creatures returned. This time, Azrael managed to kill one, but unfortunately, Keenan was too weak to escape. She couldn't save him. Consumed by grief and rage, Azrael grabbed a weapon lying nearby, determined to take revenge on the cult that had destroyed her life. She whistled, luring the guards away from the camp. Once the coast was clear, she slipped inside unnoticed. Her first target was the woman the cult worshipped. As she entered the church, Azrael aimed her gun directly at Miriam, the so-called holy woman. But upon seeing Miriam's pregnant belly, Azrael hesitated. That moment of doubt was all Miriam needed. She struck Azrael with a cooking tool, knocking her unconscious. Azrael, now unconscious, is taken deep into the forest for the second stage of her punishment. It turns out the cult plans to sacrifice Azrael directly to the creatures by burying her in a tunnel that leads straight to their nest. With no other way out, Azrael is forced to crawl through the tight passage. As expected, the creatures are lurking in their lair, and one of them begins to chase Azrael. Desperate, she scrambles back to the coffin, bracing for the worst. But something unexpected happens. The creature stops attacking after smelling Miriam's blood on Azrael's body. Sensing an opportunity, Azrael quickly looks for a way to escape. Meanwhile, back at the camp, the cult members are resting, and Josephine heads to the church to check on Miriam. But they have no idea that Azrael has escaped from the coffin and is now plotting to take down the entire cult. Inside the church, Josephine is relieved to see that Miriam is still alive, though she has scratches on her body. However, their relief is short-lived as they suddenly hear the crackling of flames. Josephine rushes outside to investigate. Panic spreads when they realize that Josephine's tent is on fire, with her sick mother trapped inside. It's clear that this is all part of Azrael's plan to wipe out Josephine and the entire cult. Without hesitation, Azrael launches a brutal attack on every cult member, turning the camp into a blazing inferno. One of the cult members is devastated to find his wife shot dead. Enraged, he grabs a weapon, determined to fight back. Skilled and strategic, he manages to hide, making it difficult for Azrael to locate him. As the fire rages on, the man grows frustrated when Azrael taunts him with whistles. Falling for the trick, he mistakenly shoots one of his own allies. Like a demon hunter on a mission, Azrael swiftly takes him down as well. With most of the cult now lying dead, Azrael only has one target left, Miriam. At this point, she no longer cares about Miriam's condition. When Azrael arrives at the church, she is surprised to find Miriam missing. Suddenly, Miriam appears from behind and attacks, but Azrael, quick and sharp, counters with an aggressive strike. A fierce struggle ensues, leaving Miriam writhing in pain. As she begins going into labor, Azrael stands over her, ready to finish her off. But just when it seems over, Josephine, who was thought to be unconscious, reveals that she was only pretending. Still alive and armed with a rifle, she fires recklessly, only to end up hitting Miriam instead. Now, with her weapon and skills, Azrael prepares for one final attack. Once Josephine is dead, Miriam's baby is born. But then something eerie happens. Miriam, who should have been relieved, stares at her newborn in pure terror. Moments later, she takes her last breath. Then, the baby's cries suddenly shift into an unnatural, high-pitched screech, like the wail of a cursed goat. At the same time, the creatures begin to emerge, drawn by the sound. Overcome with curiosity, Azrael looks at the newborn, only to discover the horrifying truth. Miriam had been carrying the devil's offspring all along. The baby is a monstrous lamb with multiple eyes, believed to be the savior of this world now ruled by terrifying creatures. And just as expected, the creatures immediately bow before whoever possesses this demonic child. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.